Right, hi everyone. I'm just trying to find you on the iPad. Where are we? There we go. Right, looks like I've managed to sort the lighting out this time, which is great. So yeah, I'll see if I can wait for a few of you. Oh, Chris Smith is watching. Hi Chris. Let's hope we have a few more watchers tonight. I know Mum's currently busy sharing it on all the groups for me. That's usually my job, and yeah, when I'm live she usually does it for me. So I think I've sent her into a bit of a frenzy tonight because she's not very technical, yeah, I think it always panics her when she's got to do that. But yeah, so I'm going to be playing again with the new frog today, and I'm calling it the string of pearls stencil. I think it sort of looks like a string of pearls, doesn't it? But yeah, and some other stamps. I thought I'd do a bit of a Halloween special, especially as our group theme this month is, or the challenge is, Halloween. It's also the same theme for the ATC swap. So yeah, I thought I'd do something a bit different. I've actually had a lot of fun playing with this today. I can't wait to show it to you. I think Chris might have already seen a little sneaky of it, because I did post a little short video clip on YouTube. And yeah, I've had so much fun. Hi Annette. Hi Trisha. It looks like we've got a few of you joining now, which is good. I think I always panic when I do them at this time because they're not our usual CI times. I always worry that nobody's going to join. But yeah, it looks like I've got a few of you. So yeah, as I said, I'm going to be using some of the skull today. Yes, I did. It's so cool. All right, it's one of them makes that, you know how when you make something you get so overexcited about it that you can't wait to show it to everyone. It was one of them. I don't know why I didn't make it up as one of the samples. I guess it didn't really occur to me to turn the frog into something Halloween. But yeah, I'm going to be using the skull, so CI 529. I don't know what this stamp's actually called because it hasn't got the name on it, but the sort of danger poison bottles, which is CI 360. And the grasses, ferns and grasses, CI 207, some must have in the collection, and CI 583. And of course the frog, which I've already said, and the new stencil. I'm going to pop them to the side for a moment. Right, I'll show you my make from today. Hi Sarah, hi Nikki, in my hotel room in Prague. Oh wow, Prague is such a lovely place. I've been there, I think I went there twice. I went there on a college trip quite a lot of years ago, and I also went there for a wedding. It's such a beautiful place. I really did enjoy going there. Right, I'm going to show you some of my makes. I've made two today. Haven't stuck everything down yet. So this was actually the first one that I made, which I'm going to make tonight. So as I said, I haven't sort of stuck the frog down because actually I might use the frog just to save a bit of time. And I drew a little witch's hat. It's quite easy to do. So I will show you sort of how to do that and how to get the shape right on his hat. Sorry, it's a bit out of focus there, isn't it? It's really beautiful. You're all right, Dina. Yeah, I'd love to go back there at some point. Yeah, so I've popped him sitting onto the skull's head. I think he works quite well sitting on there. And I've popped a few of the poison bottles beside him. Mum said he would have looked great as a toad on this, which he probably would have done, but I think my go-to colours for him is just green. And actually I don't normally do a purple bow tie on him. I usually go for red. I think probably either colour would go because I've got sort of purples and reds in this. So, and this is the other card that I made that I was just sort of playing about with. So I know a lot of people don't like skulls. I'm a bit obsessed with them. I've actually got a life-size skeleton in the garden and a nice skeleton dog as well that sits with him, and that stays there all year round. So I said I'm completely obsessed. I've got skull things all around the house. Mum's the same as well. But yeah, not everybody does like them, so I've made one without. And the shroom, instead of colouring it in red, I've coloured it in grey to make it look like he's sitting on a little rock. So it's quite easy to do. You just try to avoid stamping ink in the ink in this area up here, and you can just pop him down. I did get a little bit of the line in there, but I've sort of covered it up a little bit with like a white pen and just made it like little grooves on a rock. So I've tried to disguise it a little bit. But yeah, I've quite enjoyed playing today. Right, I'm going to pop these to the side. So today I'm going to be making this one. And I'm just going to put them... Ooh, I don't really want to lose the frog and the hat because I want them. Right, where's my card? Ooh. So I've got a 6x6 blank. Both of them are so awesome. I love them all. Thank you, Chris. Great cards. I may need to copy. I've actually had so much fun with them today. I think I might maybe do my ATC along the similar sort of lines. Right. What am I doing? Let me get the other one back so I can remember what I've done. So I need the skull to start with. So I said this is 529. And I'm just going to mount him up. Make sure he's stuck down nice. I'm actually just going to make sure that his head's sort of level where I want him. Right, so I'm just going to ink him up with some black VersaFine. I've already got a black mark on that bit of card, so let's flip it over. And I'm just going to sort of stamp him kind of in the middle, about there. And then use my little Baron tool. This is the Chocolate Baroque one that I use all the time. I think I've said this so many times, I would literally be lost without this. Right, there we go. And I'm just going to clean this up and pop him to the side because otherwise I'm going to need that block shortly. Right, now I'm going to grab my piece of scrap paper and I'm going to emboss him. Embossing powder. Better pop that lid on, otherwise I'll end up knocking it over. Yes, it is a lovely it is a lovely stamp. It's one of my favourites. Again, as I said, I'm obsessed with skulls, so it would be. Hi Mum, I'm not sure if I've said that or not. I might have missed your comment. I rather like the roses on this. I think, you know, if you colour them in sort of a nice red or even a purple, it sort of really makes it pop, doesn't it, on the card. I think that's about embossed. I'm just holding it up so I can see it properly. that I managed to do it without the glare today, and I've no idea what I've done differently. I have got an extra light. I found an extra light in the garage which I've managed to pop overhead, and that must have obviously done the trick. Right, I'm just going to go in now with some masking fluid. So this is the Cosmic Shimmer masking fluid, and I'll grab my brush now. You'll have to excuse my brushes, they're in a terrible state. I don't know what it is about the brushes when you use masking fluid, they just go really horrible. Right, so I'm just applying a really thin layer. Sorry, I'm going off camera there. I don't have the skull stamp yet. It is lovely. I think we've got quite a lot of skull fans in our family. My brother, my son loves them. Mum, you know, I'm obsessed with them, and actually even my partner's mum. She quite likes skulls. Her living, she's actually got skull wallpaper in her living room. I'm so jealous. It is gorgeous. But unfortunately it's a little bit, my room in the living room wouldn't cope with having black wallpaper because it makes the room look quite dark, but it does look cool. I might actually swap over to a smaller brush to do these roses, because that one is quite sped, you know, the bristles are going everywhere on that. Oh, I've put a little bit too much on there. Just going to drag some of that over, and the little bud over here. Right, there we go. Right, now I just want to wait for that to dry a minute. Sorry, I'm going to give it a shake off the camera just to air it off a little bit to dry before I start going in with the other stamps, which I will try to find. It's not quite dry yet. I might do it with the heat gun. So I'm going to use the two taller bottles for this. I hope that's going to stick, because I just had some powder on my fingers and I've just touched that, and yeah, we'll find out in a little while, I guess, won't we? Right, I might just give that a quick blast with the heat gun just to dry it off a little bit. Should be enough. Yeah, that looks nice and dry. Right, so I'm now going to go in with the poisonous bottles. Hi Jill. So, and again I'm going to stamp that in black ink. Oh, it looks like I've smudged some of the masking fluid, so I'm just rubbing that off, because otherwise that'll affect the background a little bit. I'm not going to use the Baron for this one because it is quite a small image. I think these poisonous bottles work so well with the skull. I think if you've got one, you need to have the other in your stash. Right, let's just give that a quick clean. Now, I'm hoping this one doesn't fall off my block as I'm stamping it. Just make sure it's nice and secure. Yeah. I should really take it that way, shouldn't I? Right, and I'm now just going to stamp this other bottle on this other side and turn it around so I can see what I'm doing. Otherwise I'll have to lean across the camera. There we go. Now before I put embossing powder on this, I'm just going to dab some of this ink off the masking fluid. It will sort of stick a little bit, but I always like to take it off while it's wet. I think there's only a little bit on this side. Right, where's my paper gone? Your nails go with the spooky theme. Yes! I decided, and they needed repainting because they were so bad earlier on, and I thought, well, as it is we're going for Halloween theme, I might as well paint them black. So I haven't done it for quite some time, so I think it's the perfect time of year, isn't it, really, for black nail polish. Right, so I'm now just going to emboss these. When I'm pouring this on, I'm trying to avoid getting too much onto the masking fluid. And actually what I'm going to do before I emboss it, I'm going to find a nice dry paintbrush, and any powder that's stuck to the masking fluid, I'm just going to wipe it off. It just makes it easier sort of at the end when you're pulling the masking fluid off. It makes it so much easier getting it off, otherwise it can sort of tear the card. I've had it tear in and all sorts. Right, so hopefully that's pulled enough off. Let me just pop this away. I'm going to heat emboss that. I'm just lifting it up slightly away from my mat so I don't melt it. Plus, if you're lifting it up slightly, it sort of embosses a little bit quicker. So the heat's going sort of all around it and almost through it. So I always prefer to lift it up than leave it on your mat. Just making sure that that's embossed. Right, I'm now going to apply some masking fluid to these bottles as well. This is just so that we can create the background. Now for the branches up the top, if you wanted to, you could stamp them and mask them all off. I didn't do that with mine. I just kind of went for it with the background. And yeah, it did work. Obviously you can sort of see the background through it, but I'm not too worried, to be honest. I have red tights with skulls and crossbones in black all over them. Oh, Chris, I bet they look lovely. Right. I'm now going to use the thinner brush to do the necks of the bottles. Right. Hi Lucy. They are pretty cool. Yeah, I bet they are. Oh, I'm just trying to pull some of that off my brush, but I'll sort that out a little bit later. Right, let me get rid of these stamps now, because I will need to use that stamping block again in a little while. Right, now for the background, I'm going to do a little bit of smooching with Distress Inks. I think that's what it's called, isn't it? So I'm using Spiced Marmalade and Picked Raspberry. So I'm just going to do a couple of dabs of each colour. I'm sort of keeping them separate, so I'm doing the orange here and then a bit of pink over here, just so that I can have a bit of control over where it's going. Now, I actually spritzed my background first when I done this one. Don't quite know why. It sort of flowed a little bit better when I done that. Never really done it before. Right, and then you can pick some of the pink up. Oh, I've got a hair going right across that. Let's just pull that off. I don't know what, I think them other little bits are masking fluid that I've peeled off. So I'm just going to dry that a little bit. Just dab that off, otherwise it will take forever to dry. Now I'm leaving the bottom area because I'm going to go in with a green for that. Yeah, I think that will do. Let me just get those bits off. Right, I'm going to go in again, add a bit of pink. It's not actually coming out very pink at the moment, but still. I'll add some more pink down here. Give it a spritz, forgot about that. That's a bit better. And I'm going to make sure, do you know what I've just spotted on here? I've been a bit clumsy with the masking fluid. I don't know if you can see just there, I've gone over the black line, which is actually really going to bug me. So I'm just going to grab my craft knife and just see if I can very carefully scrape that off. I think I've done it there too. You can sort of see it a bit better once you apply the ink. Right, so I'm just going to dab in again and fill in them areas. If you find that it doesn't go in between where you want it, what you can do is just grab a brush and pick up some of the ink and go in then. I've got another hair coming off of it. I don't know where that's come from. So yeah, you can pick bits up and go in with the brush. So here it hasn't covered very well. Right, I think maybe I'll leave it there. I'm just going to dry that off again. There's a bit of a pool of water there, so I'm going to dry that. Snag tights are brilliant. Oh, is that where you got them from, Chris? I do quite like Snag. I have ordered from them before. Alright, I'm just going to dab these really wet pieces, blobs off, just so it's not going to take us ages. A few more wet patches. Right, there we go, that should do. Right, I'm just going to give my messy mat a bit of a wipe over. Right, now for the next bit I'm going to use the String of Pearls stencil and my homemade Pretty Gets Gritty spray. I've had this made up for a little while. I think this one was Atlas. I'm not too sure now. But yeah, I did actually make it a little bit stronger earlier on because when I did spray it, the colour wasn't as vibrant as I wanted it. So I've popped in some more. But now when I shake them, I'm doing a bit of a side to side shake, because apparently if you do shake them up and down, the mica powder, you know, it is mica powder, isn't it, can get stuck up the tube, and then of course they don't work. Right, I'm going to grab some masking tape. Now this, Jean sort of done a bit of this yesterday, I think, didn't she, on her live? So I'm actually doing a bit of a similar thing and copying her idea. Just taping it down. Actually, I might pop a bit on the side too, just to sort of keep it down. And then I'm going to grab another piece of scrap just to lay it over the this edge, and then I'm going to go in and give it a spritz. Now I think these sprays are great because they are so lovely and shimmery. And if you have the Pretty Gets Gritty powders, it's just another great way of being able to use them, I think. So I've got quite a few colours in the Pretty Gets Gritty powders, so most of them I have made up into sprays. And I was quite surprised as well when I done it. Although I put, or it seems like I put quite a lot of powder in, when I actually looked in the Pretty Gets Gritty pot, there was still loads left in there. Like it honestly, it looked like they hadn't even been touched. I'm just drying that last little bit off. So I don't know if you can see on the screen. I'll just wait for it to catch up, and then hopefully there we go, you can just about see the shimmer on there. If I keep tilting it, you might see it a bit more. I think you can just about see it. It actually looks like, when I sent Mum a picture of what I'd done earlier on, she said it looks really textural. So I'm just drying my stencil off now, because I'm going to move it over the other side. Now I'm lining this up, it's still quite wet. I'm lining this edge up with the line that I have here. Oh, let's lift that up. Right, and grab my piece of paper again. And I'm just going to spritz this side now. Don't want too much spray, because otherwise it will sort of seep underneath the stencil. Let me just give that a wipe, because I'm going to end up putting that down and it's going to ruin everything. Yeah, so it will seep under the stencil if you spray too much. Love that stencil. Oh, thank you, Chris. I said we've kind of nicknamed this one String of Pearls, because I think it does sort of look like you know, like beaded pearly necklaces. Right, so you can just about see the line there, but I'm not too worried. I think once you start popping, you know, other bits on, it kind of covers it up. Just got in, looking great already, very spooky. Hi Jean, thank you. I said I've had quite a lot of fun today playing with this card, and I was quite excited, I think, to show everyone. Right, now I'm going to do the, I'm calling it grassy bottom. I've put a few ferns in it, so you know, just to fill up some of the areas. Right, where's my nice big paintbrush gone that I just had? There it is. I've had one of them days today. I don't know if anybody else get days like this, but I've literally lost everything today. I think I was going mad because I'd lost a pen, one of my Pro markers, and it was one that I use all the time, and I've not long replaced it, so it's quite a new one. And yeah, I've just been, I was ages looking for it. I was going mad. I have now found it. I can't even remember where I found it now. I think it was in one of my tubs. It might have been, so we did get sort of some bits ready for, you know, doing the shows and stuff. And I had, yeah, little bits of what I was going to use in separate tubs. I think it was in one of them. So I obviously hadn't unpacked it. Or maybe I'd just thrown it in with a load of stamps, sort of unawares. Love it. I had all the Pretty Gets Gritty micas at one time and have just redone my room. So I hope I can use them. Oh, I can't read the whole of your comment. Let me just see if I can push that. As now I can see them, but I hadn't thought of using them with a spray. Love the stencil too. Yeah, they are really good for the sprays. I think I've used the, I'm just going to go in and darken some of this a little bit more. So I think some of you have probably seen my previous videos where I've used brusho sprays where I've made them myself. I think it's great just to you know, have another use for them. Right, I'm going to grab that craft knife again because I've just spotted another bit here where I've overlapped with the masking fluid, and I don't really want it a white area when I'm done, so I'm just carefully scraping it off with my craft knife, and then going in with the paintbrush again. There we go. I'm going to dry that again. Yeah, so as I was saying, I make the brusho sprays up, and you don't need a huge amount in them, you know, just a little bit. With when you're making the Pretty Gets Gritty sprays up, you know, start by tapping some in. If I were you, I'd sort of put the water in first, and then just keep tapping very carefully, powder, and then have some scrap paper at hand, and then spray it just to see if it's see if it's as dark as you want it. You can keep adding to it. When I done this, I said earlier on, it wasn't very dark, so I added a little bit more until I was happy with the colour of it. But it's been in there for a little while, but obviously be a bit careful because if you do leave them in too long, obviously water does smell after a little while. I know one occasion I pulled it out to use and spritzed it, and my goodness, it was like stagnant water smell. It was horrible. Right, anyway, I'm now going to grab the leaves. Oops, it's just pinged out, so I want that one and the little tiny leaves here. Where's my block gone? Oh, don't tell me I've lost that now. Where is it? I wanted my little block. No, I said I'm having one of them days. Nobody can see it, can they? Oh, there it is, right at the back. Oh, that's no problem, Nikki. I said, I suppose if anybody did want me to do like a little video or something on how I make the sprays up, I will happily do one. I really don't mind. It doesn't take long to do them, but it is quite easy. But I think it's more down to preference, sort of how you want them. I got the sprays quite cheaply off of Amazon. I've got them, and I also bought some really diddy tiny ones. So these ones. But they are a pain to, if you want to refill them, they are a pain to get open again. So it's definitely worth buying them. I can't remember what size they are, I'm afraid. Right, so I'm now just going to go in. What I might do actually is just pop the frog there for a moment, just so I can sort of see for positioning, you know, where I want the branches coming down. Turn it around the other way actually. Yeah, I did go in with these smaller branches as well, just to sort of fill in a few gaps. Now I'm going to stamp quite a few of these, and then I'm going to emboss them, and then I'll go in with the smaller ones and then emboss them again. Make sure when you're stamping sort of over the mica, because I think Jean had a few issues with this as well. Sometimes if you stamp over the mica, it struggles to take the ink. So it's worth sort of just leaving it on there for a little bit longer to sort of seep in a little. Right, ink about there. Right, I'm now going to just go in with the smaller one. Whoops. I might actually just snip off, because I noticed this earlier when I stamped it. I was stamping it with quite a gap from the stem, so I'm just going to snip as close as I can to that stem, just so it'll make stamping it a little bit easier. Now, I'm not worried too much about overlapping leaves. I suppose if you're really fussy, you could sort of mask some off and stamp a few extra, but I'm not bothering on this. When you do it, just try to make sure that you butt it up as much, like the stem bit. You butt it up as much as you can to the other leaves. If you do miss them, I'll show you on the other one if I remember once I've embossed this. If you end up with them looking like they're floating, you can always just go in with a little pen and, you know, draw a little extra line on. I'll show you in a minute once I've embossed this. I'm just making sure that that's all embossed. Yeah, that's okay. Right, so on this one, I don't know if you can see what I mean here, but it looks like the some of the branches are sort of floating. So what you can just do is grab a pen and just sort of butt the lines up to the leaf behind it. I think I've done them all on there, so it sort of disguises the fact that it's just been added on afterwards. Thank you, Trisha. Right, now before I take that masking fluid off, I'm going to stamp the fern. I'm going to pop these stamps away because knowing what I've been like today, I'll probably end up losing them. I did lose this little stamp earlier on. Yeah, I was going mad trying to find it. Right, so I'm going to use the little ferns now out of 207. I just remembered today that I need to do a spooky ATC swap. Do you know the deadline date, Dina, or anyone? I think I said about the 25th, so there's plenty of time yet. You know, I've tried to do it so that there's a nice long day. Obviously everyone's busy. So yeah, there's a little while yet. Right, I'm now going to, where's my green ink pad? Oh goodness, right, there it is. Do you know what it is? I've got too much stuff out on my desk. I think I had so much fun creating today that I've just made such a mess. Ooh, oh, this one's gonna play up on me, I think. Right, so I'm just going to yeah, there we go. Right, I hope it's not going to keep doing that. Right, I'm just going to randomly stamp a few ferns coming out from behind the bottles and behind the skull. Up there as well. Might go a little bit higher with the ferns there. Right, and then I'm going to grab that other fern stamp. So I'm using two different ferns here. Stamp one up the side there. Oh, I've got a piece of glitter there. Goodness knows where that's come from. I haven't used glitter for days. I think it does have a tendency to stick around, doesn't it? Alright, so I'm just stamping it sort of randomly all around the bottom, and I've stamped a few up here. I hope you can see it. Lots of new folks watching tonight. Hello peeps. Oh, that's good. It's nice to have new people watching. I think we have shared it to the Craft Friends United group. So yeah, hopefully that will entice a few new people. Right, so I'm not embossing the ferns. I'm leaving them. I've got no reason really to emboss them. If you do have any ink going over the your masking fluid, so I have, so I'm just going to carefully dab some of that away. Otherwise, when you go to take your masking fluid off, you tend to smudge the ink everywhere. Right, and I'm now going to find my little rubber. I didn't lose it. And I'm going to carefully rub some of the masking fluid off. So I rather like peeling it off. It's like peeling glue off. I think there was something quite therapeutic about that, doing that at school. There we go, nice long stringy bit. Ooh. Love the stencil effect in the background, looks stunning. Must try those colours maybe in my ODC. Thank you. I actually used your idea from yesterday, Jean. I think you missed it. I used the spritz, but used Pretty Gets Gritty powders. Right, so be careful as you're peeling this off, because if you have put it on a little bit too thick, it will tear your card. So just peel it off quite carefully. I think some of the ink has gone through here. I obviously didn't do it so well in some areas, but I'm not too worried about that. Right, I must apologise because it has just started raining again. And you will probably be able to hear sort of a bit of background noise from that. Ooh. Let's just get rid of some of that rubbish. Right, there we go. Right, I'm just going to get rid of all this. I'm just rubbing my hand over it just to sort of make sure that I have got it all off. What you'll find is as you go to colour it with the your pro markers, the ink doesn't doesn't take to it. It goes sort of a lighter colour. Right, now I'm going to go in. I think I'm going to do the roses first. I think it's a must, isn't it? I'm using 2 colours, so burgundy and berry red. Oh, I think I did miss a little bit there, look. So I always like to use sort of a couple of colours, as I said, I think in my previous live. It adds a bit of depth to the image. I'm not being too fussy, I'm just sort of going over in areas. Ooh, and the little buds. Hope I'm colouring this all okay, because again, although it looks quite bright on the screen, I'm not used to crafting without my lamp on here. But as soon as I put that on, it don't know what it is, it just flickers. I think it does this, doesn't it, on the camera with some lighting, but it doesn't matter. At least the actual live looks a little bit better than the last one I done. It was so glary last time. So as I said, I managed to find a nice a light in the garage that I've pulled out and managed to hook it up above where I'm working. Had a bit of a brainwave yesterday, and I completely forgot that we had it, and actually it's perfect for crafting at night in here. Right, I'm now going to do the poisonous bottles. So where's my purple pens? I'm sure I had some out. Yeah. So I'm going to do the bottles matching on both sides, just so it balances out. So I'm using a lilac and a purple here. So I'm just going around the edges with the darker pen. I'll do this edge as well, and then I'll go over on the lighter pen with both of the on both of them at the same time. It sounds like the rain's easing off. Just realised I've missed a petal there, so I'm just going to colour that in red. Right, now I'm going to go in with the lilac. I'm going to use the thick end actually, because it will be a bit quicker. And just blend the edges, the darker purple in a little bit to the centre. Now I am going to add some white highlights to the bottles in just a little while. Your colouring looks fab. Well, thank you, Chris. Oh, Dora's watching. Hi, Dora. Right, what was I going to grab? Right, now for the skull. This is the pen that I lost earlier. It literally drove me mad. I had all the pens out of my pen case. So this is satin. This is literally my most used colour. I think it's great for like blending browns and stuff out. So yeah, I'm just going to go on the skull with it and add a bit of shading. I don't ever like to see the skulls pure white. I think they need a bit of sort of colour. I'm being quite rough with it. You know, not particularly adding it to any areas as such, just going in and adding that. Right, now for the leaves. So I used 3 different colours, and I actually decided when I was playing earlier on, I'd done them all green, And then I thought, well, you know, leaves are starting to turn red and starting to drop. So I actually added a little bit of red into them. So I'm just going in, and in the centres of the leaf, sort of down the, you know, what do you call that? You know, the centre part of the leaf. I'm just going down there. I'm not doing all of them. I'm just doing it to a few random ones. So I'm not colouring the whole leaf, literally just the centre. And it doesn't matter how, you know, how neat it is, because it will sort of blend out a little bit. You can do as many red ones as you like, or as few, obviously. Do a few more down here. I quite like doing the red because actually it tied in with the roses quite nicely. Right, now for the ones that that I've left plain, that I didn't add the red to, I'm just adding a forest green, so slightly darker, and again going down the centres. I'm being very, very rough. And again, you don't have to do that on all of them. It's just to add sort of different colours and almost sort of textures. Right, and then I'm going to go in with the leaf green. And on the red ones, you just go over the red. Don't worry too much about the red going on your pen. It's fine, it seems to work. So just blend the red out into your leaf. Sorry, the light is reflecting at the angle that I'm at, so I'm just trying to get in a position where I can actually see. So I don't know if you can see, the red has blended really nicely into the leaves. It actually looks like I haven't coloured them, but in some areas. I think because the background's a slightly greeny tinge as well, you know, I'm not worried too much about going over lines and things. You don't notice it too much. Right, I'm almost there, sorry. There's quite a lot of leaves to get through there, isn't there? I think that's the last one. Oh, missed one. And that one. Right, so that's all the leaves coloured in nice. I said I think adding that adding the red just ties in nicely, quite nicely with the roses. Right, now I'm going to bring out my frog and hat. Now I showed you earlier I drew this little hat, which I think fits quite nice on top of the frog. So I'm going to show you how I done that really quickly. You inspired me to use my pro markers, thank you. Oh, they are my go-to make. They are my go-to whenever I make things. Right, so when I drew the hat, I literally put the frog down. I cut the frog out first, and then to make it fit on the head properly, I sort of drew round the top of his head. That's where you then get this shape here from. And then you can just, you know, you can be quite simple with the hat. It really didn't take too long at all to draw. of the little ribbon. Obviously I'm just doing a really quick sketch here. I'm not going to make you watch, you know, watch me draw it out in pen and everything. It's just to show you how I did it. It's so simple. And then once I'd done the main lines, I then just took some little nicks out of it, which you can see here. Just dot them around, and then you can, when you do your pen lines, just bring the pens in, obviously cut them little nicks out. So it's quite simple. You know, you haven't got to spend ages on it. I guess you could even just do a little triangle if, you know, if you don't feel like doing a whole piece like that. But yeah, I drew around it in pen, and then I used what did I use? So I actually used 3 colours on this. Now whenever I colour anything, whenever things should be black on cards, I never use black pens. I always go for greys. I think if you start using black pens, you know, features get lost. So for this I've used, this looks like black but it really isn't. So this is Cool Grey 5. These are sort of my go-to greys. There's quite a lot of greys. I think you've got warm grey, cool grey, and I'm sure there's another grey. What would that be? No, that's warm grey. I'm sure there's another type of grey. Ice grey, that's it. So most of the, you know, whenever I use greys, I always go to the cool greys. So I said I've used Cool Grey 5 to go around the edge, and then blended it in with Cool Grey 4, and then lastly added Cool Grey 3, you know, just to lighten it up. I said I never do it anyway. I think things, you know, it bleeds out a little bit too much and you lose the sort of features and everything of an image. So I always go for greys whenever it should be black. Right, and then what I'm going to do is just stick them down. Can I find the glue? Yes. That was a bonus. Didn't think I'd find it that quick. I'll just shake it down. So I'm just going to stick the little frog now on top of his head. And then the little hat too. So if you draw around the little frog's head first, you actually get a perfect fit, you know, over the shape of his head. And then what you can do is add some little white highlights if you want to the bottles. I actually went over the writing just to make that pop a little bit more. So I'll quickly do this. I'm not doing the writing very well in white, but obviously you can spend a bit more time on it. And some sort of highlights on the bottle. And then you could also do a few on the rose. If you find that your this pen's probably a little bit thick for the doing highlights on the rose, so I tend to just dab it off if it gets a little bit too much, and it sort of takes it, you know, it's not quite so vibrant than the white. I've actually missed the green on the rose. Sorry, I am aware I've probably taken up so much of your time this evening. I don't know. Oh yeah, I've been on a whole hour. Goodness. Right. So I think that's it. Would then mount that onto a, I'm not actually going to glue it, but I have got a card blank here. You can either mount that onto some black and then straight on. I think actually it needs to be mounted on black, doesn't it, that? Some cards I think you can get away with just mounting them on a 6x6 card, but I think because it's, you know, Halloween and there's quite a lot going on in the front, it needs a black border. So I might do that a little bit later. I won't make you sit here and watch me. So yeah, there's, I'll just pull out the other card that I made earlier as well. That's slightly different, but again, a kind of Halloween themed one for those of you that, you know, if there was anyone else that joined halfway through. So there's two different Halloween options. This one hasn't got his hat on yet. You can see I did actually stamp him with a crown on, but I cut the hat out and you can stick that on. So yeah, honestly, I've had so much fun creating these today, and I could not wait to get on here and show you. But yeah, I was quite excited. I said Mum did suggest doing the frog brown and doing it as a toad, which would work quite well. Because yeah, I think, you know, witches and things do turn people into toads, don't they? So I think you could get away with doing a toad for this. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I think there's a few comments come through. It's a brilliant hat. Oh, great demo, Dina. I've not seen masking fluid being used before. I've used it on quite a few of demos. I think it's one of them things that you need to have in your stash. I've used a few different ones. I was using PBO. And I ended up getting really frustrated with it because it seemed to dry out, like the actual pot dried out quite quickly. And I think when we moved, because I think it was about 4 months where I'd done no crafting, everything was packed away. When I pulled it back out again, the whole pot was dry and it had gone really funny, so I had to bin it. And because that was the second one that I've done, I had to get rid of. We then tried this. They had it in our local craft shop, and yeah, I really like this make. I think it works really well. So it's the Cosmic Shimmer Masking Fluid. I definitely recommend that one. Brilliant hat, brilliant, great idea, fabulous. Thank you. It's so interesting to see you build up colours and stamps to make the card. Loved watching you, and the card is fab. Well, thank you, Trisha. Thank you for a wonderful live, brilliant. Thank you all for joining me. Now tomorrow I am going to attempt to do a live on YouTube. I've got absolutely no clue what I'm doing. My son, I think, is going to help me, and he's also going to help Mum share the link onto our Facebook group, and also some of the other groups. That's if I can actually get on. I'm actually going to do a bit of a test a little bit later on, and actually see if I can get online. If I don't manage to get online via YouTube, I will do the live on Facebook instead. But just keep an eye on the group for the links for that. I will also be doing a giveaway of the frog stamp tomorrow, so make sure you join in. Yeah, so I hope to see you all tomorrow, and thank you again for joining me. Take care, everyone. Bye.